When was the theater company established, and why was it established?
1980-81 was our first season.
Okay.
Was our very first season here. And we were at that time operating out of, actually, we started in Theater Rhinoceros.
Really?
That was our very, very first season. Was actually in the basement, what it's called now theater, the lab downstairs.
Yeah.
That was our very first home, and then from there we moved to, I think it was 1115 Gary Street, which was the Goodman Building, and then from there to the church on Gulf Street, Trinity Episcopal, and then from there into the building that we were in for over 20 years.
And I'll just put up some of the photos from some of your past programs as you.
Yes, that's Black Nativity.
Black
Yes.
Nativity. So it's been 20 years, but why did you decide to establish the theater company? And I'll put these up again as you talk.
Sure, the theater obviously was a passion for me. There was a lot of theater happening in the Bay Area at that time. Lots of theater, and very few opportunity, if any, for black actors, black writers, black designers, and black directors. And so, the times at that time seemed like it was a right opportunity for theater to also open itself up for a black talent as well. And that was basically what it's about. My goal is to be a home for artists. And the majority of our budget goes to the artists.
When you started the Lorraine Hansberry Theatre Company, were we still into the Black Arts movement at that time, or had the Black Arts movement kind of passed, or where were we at that point?
It had really kind of passed, actually, during that time. Even though there were at that time some activity in the Bay Area with Black Theater Company. There were 3 or 4 at that time. There was the Oakland Ensemble Theater, there was Black Box, there was. So there was some activity during that time. I think, Whoopi was beginning to find herself. Danny Glover was beginning to find himself. Intozaki Shange was beginning to find herself, and she was going around doing her poetry at house parties and at bars. And then from there, of course, that grew into, she actually taught in different colleges, and that grew into For Color Girls and make her who she is today.
Tell us a little bit about the upcoming season.
It's an exciting season. I'm very, very pleased. For those of you who may or may not know, the theater, after 20 years, lost its home due to an aggressive land acquisition with the Art Academy University. And we went into negotiation and reached a settlement. So after 20 years, this is the first season we've been without a permanent home. And so in putting the season together, I was trying to figure out now, how am I going to do this, what I'm going to name it. So we worked out a relationship with several different theaters in the San Francisco Bay Area. The first show, Radio Golf, which is playing at Theater Works currently at the Mountain View Theater at 500 Castro Street in Mountain View, is called Radio Golf by August Wilson. That's the first show of the season, and it's currently running now, directed by Harry Elam. The next show will be Black Nativity, and the third show will be Waiting to Inhale, which will be done at 77 Bill Street, which is the PG&E Auditorium. And if I may, I would like to take this opportunity to say that it really goes to show you what a corporation can do when they decide that it is indeed part of their mission to be a good corporate citizen. We went to them and said, look, we need a space in order to complete our season. PG&E took a look at what they had. They called us and said, why don't we come down and why don't we meet? One of the things that people need to remember, after the 1989 earthquake, PG&E opened its home up to ACT. So, and they did a show or two there. And so we're doing the same thing. Then the next show is called The Story, which is going to be at the San Francisco Playhouse, which is down the street from where we used to be located at on Sutter Street. And then the 5th and final show of our 28th season, I'm working on the 29th season now in terms of putting together what we're going to be doing, will be Porgy and Bess with the San Francisco Opera. Wonderful. At the San Francisco Opera, actually. And as a special bonus, special ticket price for you, you get to see Joe Turner's Come and Gone, that's directed by Daryl Orlando at Berkeley Rep.
Great. That's wonderful. Now, in talking about the season and, what happened with the Art Academy, I'm glad all of that worked out, because I know it's kind of stressful, at one point. But you have kind of done what we've had to do so frequently in our lives, is pick up and move on.
It's,
that's what you've done.
What can you do? I mean, I think that the first thing that happened was that, a lot of things happened as a result of that. First of all, it was an opportunity for us to grow. And I see it as an amazing opportunity and a blessing to grow, not only as a human being, but also as an artist. And I embraced that. And at the time, I may not have really understood that, because I realized that a lot of manipulation and unhandedness was happening. But I also realized that I had a very good law firm.
Yes.
So I was going to be dealt fairly. And that was going to be a given.
And sometimes we talk about lawyers, but it's nice to have good people on your side.
Oh, absolutely.
Such as-
Jonathan Bass is absolutely a wonderful man. It's a major a law firm here in the city, and it's a law firm that works for us pro bono. And you know, Jonathan was very clever. He worked this deal out, and it just has really turned into a blessing. And what happened as a result is all of the other arts organizations opened their hands up, because they also said, wait a minute, this isn't fair. And I think that one of the reasons they did that is that people like to say that ethnic-specific theater is a time of the past. I think people are now beginning to realize that ethnic-specific theater is American theater. And that indeed, these stories that I'm telling are about human experiences. And that indeed, American art is made from the back of blacks.
You mentioned one person's name in terms of what's happened with the play that's going on right now, Harry Elam.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Harry and who he is.
Harry is a good friend. I'm only chuckling because Harry did, when we first started, years and years and years ago, Harry was involved with us. At that time, he was in graduate school at UC Berkeley working on his PhD. And he actually had to go on stage and perform one night. And so I was chuckling because I'm still remembering that. That was really funny. Harry is now head of the theater department at Stanford University. And he also directed Radio Golf, which is running at Theater Works now. Again, that's in Mountain View, 500 Castro Street in Mountain View. Harry is a wonderful scholar, a great interpreter, and he is the person who I think explained to me what it is that I'm doing practically. He's able to do that very well.
Well, I will say that Harry was very instrumental in AfroSolo's development also. Just really wonderful, kind, open, participatory with ideas. So I can't say too much good about Harry. So I really like what he's done and what he continues to do. Now, we can't finish this interview without talking a little bit about your co-founder. Let's talk, who is your co-founder? Let's say a little bit about what he has meant to Lorraine Hansberry's development.
He is the person that has allowed me to be the artist and the man that I am today. Without him, I would not be able to do this. And you know, and
Let's mention his name.
His name is Quentin Easter.
Yes.
And he and I founded the organization together. And he's the person that makes this responsible for me to be able to be an artist, along with some board members who've made a lot of sacrifices in order for this to happen. So I think we balance each other really, really well. But I can't say enough about the importance of Quentin, because he works really hard and he understands that this is a business, but it's a business that is about the artist.
Sure.
And so he makes sure that we lead with the art. And I love him for that.
Now, one thing I'd like to be sure we touch on is that you have something, I don't know if it's new, your LGBT series.
Yes, we have, Thomas, what we're doing is an LGBT at LHT. I know that's a big one, but it's called LGBT at LHT. And what that is all about is an out night, essentially, at the Lorraine Hansberry Theatre. And I know a lot of people would love for me at some point to talk about Lorraine Hansberry and her sexuality, and maybe I can come back and do that at some point. Yeah. But it is indeed a night in which the LGBT community comes to the shows at Lorraine Hansberry, and we have a discussion about what just happened and its relationship to sexuality.
Oh, that's great. And you said there are one for each one of the shows?
One for each one of the shows, yes.
Okay, that's great. Can you tell us how you see theater giving voice to the Black experience?
Oh, my God.
In 10 seconds.
Right, it's the arts. It's all about the arts and the culture. And we lead. The arts and the culture lead. How people perceive us and see the world is all about the arts and culture. It's not about policymakers. It's not about politicians. They are important, but we have to really understand that we must learn to nurture the artists.
Thank you very, very much. Our time has come to a close again. You've been watching AfroSolo TV here with Thomas Simpson with my guest Lorraine Hansberry's Stanley E. Williams. Come visit us again on the first and third Fridays of each month. Good night.